Growing up, you had many people that wanted to be in the children's department, but why? Did you want to be in the children's department because you actually had a passion to develop the minds of young ones to understand who God is, or because you wanted to get away from main service? I used to, God forgive me, I used to call myself the black sheep of the family when I was younger, because I questioned everything. Being a pastor's child, I felt like I was like the tester child. I'm the one that you're having to balance ministry and your ministry at home. So church ministry versus the ministry at home. One of the struggles I really had to endure was not even being addressed by my name, but being addressed as a pastor. I have a name,
The truth is, pastors' kids, I know, go through it. They go through rejection. They go through people expecting too much from them. And it seems like it's a lot of pressure to handle that age. And most of them go into rebellion just to spite their parents and everything. All right, hello people. You're welcome to another episode of Life Moments with Timi, and I'm Oluwa Timileyin Ayekiton, and it's another week with another guest, a great one. So let me go like this to introduce her. She's Ayomide Biyi, which we know as Ayomide Biyi for short. A great worship minister, and I will also put a woman of God, even though she would want to run away from that, and a fantastic vocalist, and somebody that when she sings, when she worships, when there's like a pilot that takes you, and that's how the sessions are when she's leading. Please join me, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Ayomide Biyi.
Hello.
Hi, all fun now.
Right. Do you know what? It's a blessing to be here. I'm so excited. I'm really privileged that you asked me to do this. So.
You see the way minister entered. It's a blessing.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
It's a blessing indeed.
It's okay. Are you ready? Hope you're relaxed, because I want you relaxed. I want you in your proper self.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm giving them ginger.
You're ready. Okay, so please walk us through your background. How did you grow up?
Oh, okay. So my background, I traveled a lot growing up. So I was born in the north of Nigeria, and so I'm part.
Where?
Zaria. So I'm literally Hausa baby at Yoruba baby. Then from there, Jamaica, London, Liverpool. And then Liverpool was where I stayed till 18, and then moved to Birmingham for uni, stayed in uni for work, and then I moved back home to Liverpool for some time just to, be with my parents, spend some time with them, allow them to, enjoy their daughter, since they haven't seen me since they've seen me, but they were not necessarily with me from like 18 all the way to like when 25. So it was many years. But then I went back home, spent some time with them, cooked, cleaned, the basic domestics of a Nigerian babe. And then I moved back to Birmingham so that I could pursue ministry.
You went to pay your dues.
Oh, yes. So that they don't say, I held you for 9 months. What did you do? So I was like, don't worry, I've come to pay back the 9 months and years after as well. So, yeah.
Okay, so at what year did you leave Nigeria? Like, at what age? How old were you?
8 months. I left when I was 8 months
Have
old.
you visited after that?
Oh yeah, I went once when I was like 13 years old, and that was for my grandma's funeral, God bless her soul. And then after that, I wanted to go back again, but then there was the talk of war and then elections and everything that was happening. I just said, for me, I just want to go and get to know Nigeria. I want to understand where I'm from. I want to meet the people that they said held me when I was a baby. All these things, but because of all these things, they just said, let's just wait so we can go as a family. I said, okay. So me, I'm still waiting so we can go as a family.
Your dad is afraid of Nigeria. Because really, people in diaspora, there's a way you can, how do I put it? You can exaggerate what is going on. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to belittle the struggles, but I'm saying sometimes something is happening in Kano and they say Nigeria.
Okay.
Kano is light distance from Lagos or from, do you understand? So they just quantify it as Nigeria, and at the end of the day, it's not really, someone in Lagos might not even be able to relate with some of the realities.
Yeah.
You understand? So, but I get them too. They want to be with you, so they were like, time will jadi, time will pata.
Exactly. And I think as well, because you know when you go and you don't have a conk Nigerian accent, and then you will go bring on British something and say, hey, so this is overseas.
Oh
one.
yeah, they call them I just got back.
I just got back.
Okay. IJGB. So you are the proper target, because once we just hear the accent, it's like, it's okay. What used to go for 1,000 is now 20,000.
20,000. Okay, I see. I'll say, and then you know when you watch all these Nollywood movies, say, guy, don't try it, don't try it, and you're like, hey, you have to just switch so that you know.
But you just switch. You just say, share more meaning. Amy money.
You have to let them know that, listen, I'm not afraid.
I'm really sorry to the international audience, but well, let's comport.
Yes.
And go back to back to what we're saying. So it means that you were pretty independent early.
Yes.
Because looking at 18, so how did you start singing? Let's even start from there. How did you start singing?
So, I think it's the common saying that everyone likes to say, I started from the womb, which I genuinely did, because growing up, I then came to know that my father was in choir, my mother was in choir. So growing up, there was always singing in the house. Music is just in our blood, literally. So not only myself, but my two younger siblings, they also sing, and they sing well, like exception, like they sing beautifully. So it's just been in the blood. And then growing up in primary school, I would join all the talent shows, and then when it came to the nativities, I would make sure I had a singing part. I made sure I had a singing part. And then when I had other singers that were better than myself, I would also ask them, where they get trained, what do they listen to, so that I could also develop my voice as well. I would listen to, before I knew the difference between secular artists, and the conk good gospel artists, I would study the voices of many different artists, and then I would try and find artists that had a similar vocal texture to myself. That way I would enjoy my voice a lot more, because I used to really dislike my voice when I was younger. I used to feel like, why is my voice so raspy? Or when I sing, it's like I sing with so much power that any song that I wanted to sing lightly or softly, I would struggle. So I was like, what's wrong with my voice? But then when I had to, practice, learn about skills, vocal range, all these type of musical terminology and things like that, then I began to enjoy singing a lot more. And then when I would hear arrangements from groups like the Pentatonics, and I'm just like how do you create such magical sounds from the voice alone? And then I learned about beatboxes, and I'm like, do they have a secret radio inside the room? I was like, what's happening? So I guess growing up, seeing the different styles of music, going all the way from those that are from Tennessee, and you have country music, folk music, then you go to the blues, the jazz, the ones that touch the soul, and the contemporary, the pop, the ones that you're always dancing to. So I guess all of that created a beautiful pot of stew of music that I love so much and love to taste. And I guess what kept me in singing was those strict aunties in the choir. I joined choir at the adult choir at the age of 7 to 8. So because like I said, we've been singing since we were young, so we had a very matured vocal skill, I guess, at a young age. So it meant that I had a lot of when I say I didn't have vocal training, but in school when I took music and the teachers were musically trained, so it meant that whenever I had music lessons in school, I was also getting, I guess, like training of some sort from them. So when I came to church, I was able to try and apply as much as I could without overstepping here. And my pastor is here again. Is it because you're a pastor's child that you? I said it's okay, let me just do what I can, And then I only joined because mommy joined choir. And then when my mother became a full-time pastor and she left, I said, me too, I want to leave. Because I said, my only protection is going. I said, please, let me be going. But then she said, no, you must stay. Allow God to cultivate you. Allow, God to use you. At the time, I was just like, I just feel used. And I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm using my gifting or calling. I just feel like I'm being used. Every time, the person that will be leading, Ayomide, the person that will do special number, Ayomide, I just felt like I'm being overused. But then as I got older, I realized with the strictness that I was receiving, the criticism, I guess everything helped in a way, because now when I go to certain churches and I'm able to minister and I'm alongside other choirs or choirs that are very professional, I'm just like, God, I thank you for the way I was, is it unintentionally being trained when I was younger so that I would be prepared for what was to come in my older years. And I feel like if I didn't have that, I don't know the way I would have behaved like in my adult self now. I think I would have been upset by everybody. Any small thing, I'd be like, you can't speak to me like that. What do you mean? I feel like pride would have overtaken, and it would have really destroyed what God was trying to do for me now. So, yeah.
So that process helped with pruning?
Yes.
Helped with building you
yes.
in character
yes.
and all that?
Definitely.
So one thing that I took out of this is that you're a pastor's kid.
Yes.
Both are pastors.
Yes, that's correct.
Whew. How was that like?
Well, like every part,
the struggles, we just name it the struggles of a pastor's kid.
I think one of the struggles I really had to endure was not even being addressed by my name, but being addressed as I'm a pastor, pastor's kid. I just like I have a name, and
Ayomide,
like my name is Ayomide, like that's the name that is on my birth certificate, the name that mommy calls me, like that's my name.
Pastor.
As in, who's Omo Pastor?
Omo Pastor means pastor's kid.
Yeah.
If you have not figured that out.
So I was just like, what's going on? And I think growing up as well, because they became pastors at the age when I was 7 going to 8. So it felt like I'm in primary school. So, and I'm the oldest child as well. So I'm experiencing a lot of things for the first time. So I'm having to learn how.
You are the specimen child.
Yeah, I felt like I was like the tester child. I'm the one that you're having to balance ministry and your ministry at home. So church ministry versus the ministry at home. And it was difficult having to understand that my parents had the souls and the lives of so many in their hands. At the same time, you have 3 young ones at home. But at the time it was 2, and then 8 years later the 3rd one came. But it was having to manage all of that, and without overstepping or not being an absent mother or an absent father, but also trying to make sure you're there, trying to balance not being too strict, but seeing and hearing what's happening in the church and making sure that I don't want my children to fall into that as well. So it was a lot. And then there will be times where I feel like, okay, like I'm going through certain exams, and they were really fantastic parents and trying to make sure we were having the right tutors or the right resources to learn. But I guess sometimes it was a case of just needing them, or if something in school happened. In school, I wasn't a troublemaker per se. I just went to a very Caucasian.
I actually believe that.
like I went to a very heavy Caucasian dominated school, because growing up Liverpool was very, very Caucasian city, and I was the first.
Still is.
I was the first black in my primary school. I was the first like, and then my sister was the second black person to join, so it was very hard growing up in a very Caucasian dominated city, and then going to secondary school where it was like, okay, it's Church of England, but then the school was really a mixture of, I guess my school had more Muslim than it was Christians, which was very confusing at the time. But then again, they said that even those that were, if you were a Christian and you could prove that you were Christian by the church you attended, you got into the school for free. You got into the school like just like that. However, if you were not a Christian, atheist, Muslim, whatever, you had to do an exam to get into the school. And I didn't know of this until I entered the school and people were like, oh, how did you find the exam? I said, what exam? Like, I just got told I'm in. So that's it. So I guess being a pastor's child really had a lot to play in terms of handling things in school. So am I for God or am I against God, based on how I was treated at home with my parents? You know, you say God is love, but I feel like my parents have spent so much time in the church rather than, you know, helping to develop me at home. I'm going to school where they're teaching us all sorts of manner of things, and instead of having the confidence to come and say, Mommy, Daddy, what is this? What is it? Like, I don't understand this. They taught me this in school. Or one student came to me and showed me this. Like, I didn't have the confidence to speak to them about that because it just felt like either from their experiences back home, coming here, it was like it's unheard. You can't just talk to your parents about anything like that. So it was very hard knowing where I could, you know, communicate with my parents on a one-to-one to be like, okay, I need to understand this. I'm growing. Puberty is happening. Like, I need to know these things. Otherwise, if I don't learn it from you the proper way, they're going to teach me in school. And if they teach me in school, I'm going to have, a warped view of what things are, if that makes sense. So, the struggle was real. But then, I guess when I got to uni, the church that I attended at the time, the pastor called a meeting for all pastors' kids, ministers' kids. And he helped me break down those walls that I had between my parents, you know, between my parents and I, in the sense of not understanding what it took to be a pastor or a minister. At the time, I just thought like why would you choose such a job that requires you separating yourselves from your family? Like, I don't understand. But then when we later on found out that they didn't choose it, God chose them. Like, and it's a case of, you know, when you want to run away from your calling, but everywhere you go, you're just trapped, and they're like, no, this is what I've called you to do, and I've given you the grace to be able to do it well. So the pastor explained to us, you know, that when they go to heaven, all these souls, the lives that, you know, that are under them, you know, they're a shepherd to all these sheep, that they have to account for every single one when they stand before God. And it made me think that, okay, wow, like, this is deeper than I thought it was. You know, when you lack understanding, you're unable to see the full picture of things, but then gaining that context and having someone to explain it to you properly was what then changed my mindset towards my parents. And instead, it made me want to see, how can I help them more? How can I be of value? How can I be a solution rather than a problem? So, yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
So where you're tricking me, saying that we're going to go for a restaurant, but instead there's a club at the back, I said, hey. And I said, okay.
So, wow. So you got clarity after 18.
Yeah.
How did you cope?
Do you know what? At first, I felt so...
So you had things that were bottled in that you didn't say till you were 18. So how did you cope in a foreign land? How?
I think what was beautiful was the fact that I had aunts and uncles that I could, like, you know, talk to, or I had, would I say, older spiritual siblings that you meet in the church that were able to, like, you know, pave the way and find a way to not be rude, but find like a middle ground between old, you know, old training and new training, old information, new information, and find a way to meet in the middle. So that way, anything that I didn't understand, I would go to them and say, this is what I'm struggling with.
So can you see now? You're talking to people that know your parents.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a scare that I have, but it happens. And how did that go? Did you get good advice?
The thing is, the advice that was given, sometimes it was good, sometimes it was like, I'm
dodgy.
I'm just like, are you sure this
very
is
dodgy?
But and you know what's one thing they always say, go back to the word. But then again, I believe that it's so hard, because if the people, I feel like growing up, you had many people that wanted to be in the children's department, but why? Did you want to be in the children's department because you actually had a passion to develop the minds of young ones to understand who God is, who is the Father that we are serving, who is our major first love? Or because you wanted to get away from main service and you wanted to just feel free, do what you wanted, be pressing phone.
That's another one too.
So it just felt like Sunday school as well. Was I actually learning to get to know God, or just to go there, know that you can go back and say you've taught something, and then we'll just be eating chips and drinking after? And then when my parents were like, what did you learn? I don't know. Like
David and Goliath.
Like the basics of David and Goliath, Adam and Eve, Noah's Ark, Samson. But do you know what's even fascinating? Is that when I was doing my Bible study, I was doing the study on Samson. And then younger, I used to think Samson was this amazing guy. I used to think, wow, so strong. Like, oh wow, he fought for God. And then reading it now, I'm like, Samson, you were one interesting human. Like everything that your parents were told that you shouldn't cut your hair. Do not eat, do not be near anything dead. All these things, you went to go and do it anyway. And I feel like one thing we went to younger is that he was a prideful man. Like so much pride to the point where you played with the gift that God gave you, that he misunderstood. He thought that the power was with him, that I have the power, not knowing that once the hand of God left him, that was it. And gosh, and I feel like that's what hurts so much, is knowing that when you were younger, you didn't actually have the proper facts of the people.
They were teaching the story and not the revelation behind the story.
Yeah.
I think that's key, that we teach the story and we teach the revelation. So the child knows the story, but beyond the story, the child knows the revelation behind what was framed and what was formed. And that's an interesting point. The truth is, I'm not in your shoes, so I don't know the struggles you went through, but now it's making sense when it comes to, because pastors' kids, I know, go through a lot. They go through rejection, they go through people expecting too much from them too, and it seems like it's a lot of pressure to handle at that age, and most of them go into rebellion just to spite their parents and everything. Did you have any phase like that?
You know what? I think for me, I used to, God forgive me, I used to call myself the black sheep of the family when I was younger, because I questioned everything.
The black sheep that was always singing, that was always in the choir.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. So I didn't understand what it meant to be in the choir, if that makes sense. I was just there when I was younger because I was forced
to perform.
Just to perform. I wasn't there to minister. That's why I told you, I felt like I was just being used because of a voice that I had. I didn't know what it meant to be singing secular music as well as gospel. So I did everything. Anything that meant that I could develop my voice, I could, stretch my vocal range. I didn't understand the implications behind doing it. I was just there, really. So I guess man, growing up, so as the black sheep, I questioned everything. When I got to the age where I felt like, some things aren't making sense, I would or when I felt like, puberty has hit and, teenager years, and you just feel like you're in your why this, why that.
You're the wisest.
Like, you feel all. Like you know everything.
Solomon.
But you don't know. I felt like I was Solomon, but I was not Solomon. Who was I more like? I felt like I was
Solomon Gandhi.
I was B-Tech. I was the B-Tech. Like, oh gosh. But when I got to uni, I wasn't rebellious per se, but I was very curious. I had a very curious mind. I wanted to understand why my parents said no to this, no to that. So like, I guess when when they say when you're younger, they say you're not allowed to, don't go clubbing, don't do all of these things. I wasn't a crazy club. I didn't go clubbing. In fact, every time I said this, I was tricked to go to the club when I was in first year. So I wanted to join the Nigerian Student Society. I just wanted to know more about Nigeria. I wanted to know more about where I came from, so I joined the Nigerian Student Society, and in joining the society, I met loads of Nigerians, which some people didn't understand why we had the Nigerian Student Society and you had ACS. Me, I didn't understand that, but I said, I didn't come to know the Caribbean islands or nothing. I came to know the Nigerians. So where there was a society, I joined. And then it was Nigerian Independence Day, and they said, we're going to a restaurant, we're going to eat. And me, I like food, I like to chop, me, I like to eat well. So they said the time. I said, this time is late. But I thought, this is university. Maybe, there's no time in university. Everything is, you do as you please, you enjoy. So I went, and I remember it so vividly. They said, we're going to Tropical Delights. I said, okay. When we went, the restaurant was so nice. The food was plenty. Jollof rice, fried rice, chicken, like everything was there. So I sat down in the restaurant space, but then they kept going. I said, where are you guys going? Just for them to open one secret door, and at the back of the restaurant is the club. And I just said, hey. And I said to them, but I told you that I don't go clubbing, and I don't want to. And at first I didn't know if it's because I've been told all my life, don't go, it's bad, or because I genuinely just didn't want to go. And obviously when I've watched American TV shows, they made clubbing seem fun. Like, you're just going there to dance with your friends, to enjoy, live life. But I just didn't have the interest of going. Especially when people went through all the stress of collecting or creating fake IDs. I said, people will have time. I said, no, like this will last too much. But for me, I think I just had that conviction within, like I just didn't want to go. So where you're tricking me, saying that we're going to go for a restaurant, but instead there's a club at the back, I said, hey. And I said, okay, well, me, I still chop and enjoy the food, but I also saw what it was like firsthand. And after that, I didn't go clubbing again, but I did go to house parties. And
which one is worse?
You see, that's the thing. I think first year, when you think that, oh well, I'm not in the club, I'm not with strangers, but then the house party, it's not in somebody's house, but it's still the same music, it's still the same orishi that you see in the club that's happening in the house party. It's just that this one's more comfortable. There's couches, there's, I don't know what,
it's even worse.
Like, so, and the things that I saw, man, I just say, God, my life.
Your soul was snared.
Like, when I say first year was such a scary time. It was an amazing time because I loved my course, I loved my lecturers, I loved meeting new people, I loved the freedom, but I guess there was too much freedom, and that's what scared me, knowing that in school, if somebody slaps you, you can report them, and then your parents come in, then they can either call the police or whatever, and then it'll be handled like that. But if someone beats you in university, who am I? Do I report? My lecturer will just tell me, oh yeah, so what can I do? Like, I just felt like I didn't have that form of protection, and because I didn't know God like properly, I didn't know His hand of protection on my life as well. So I just felt like I just had like, it's like you're inside a cage, but you can leave and come wherever you go. But if anything happens, you're by yourself. And because also, like I said, it's at 18 that I was also understanding how much what my parents were going through being pastors. So it was, and do you know what's so funny? They would always say, anytime you need anything, we're here. but because of what was going on, I guess it didn't sink in, or I didn't come to the understanding of what it meant that we're here for you, we're not abandoning you. Or me, because of everything and how I grew up, me, you know, when I packed to uni, it's like I said I was moving out, like that was me, like whatever, like I've packed.
It was happy,
like I was like, listen, like
juices.
Honestly, like all the overprotectiveness, bye. All this I got bye, like everything I said bye, not knowing that all of that was
wild
like,
out there.
Like outside is scary. And I think that one thing I will always be so grateful to my parents for is the overprotectiveness, even in my lack of wisdom. And that's something I will definitely carry to my kids. I think what I'll do better is just explain to them and provide like life examples of why. Not just say, don't do this, you cannot go here, don't go here, but say this is why and this is what's happened. Because now I have real life examples and real stories that I can tell them, and I have proof, you know, thank you for technology. I have video footage of things that I've witnessed, of things that I've seen, things that people have sent to me. So now I can say to my children, if you like,
Suffer.
just tell me.
Slow down.
As in, so yeah, like, oh man, you know when you take time to reflect, you're like, God, I thank you so much for the prayers of mommy and daddy, for the people that really had your back. When you think that strangers have your back, you make me cry. My parents they really had my back. So thank you, mommy, thank you, daddy. I can cry.
Because pastors' kids, I know, go through a lot. They go through rejection. They go through people expecting too much from them.
This is not just me carrying the microphone to sing.
You came into the awareness that you're a minister.
Yeah.
All right, Aya. So I wanted to ask you at the beginning, why gospel music?
Why gospel?
Or why gospel, really? But now you taking us through your story, I see that you're a pastor's kid, you grew up in the church, and we've touched on your life as even the complications of being a pastor's kid. Now you are touching uni. So how did you now evolve to become a minister now? When did it dawn on you that, okay, this is the next step for me to go?
So when I joined this church. I tried a few churches when I was in uni just to see, you know, what was good for me. I wanted a church that was, you know, full of youth.
You didn't go to daddy's church?
No.
Sorry.
I couldn't go to daddy's church because daddy didn't have a branch. Because I went to uni in Birmingham, so I didn't want to go to Redeem as well because I just wanted something different, something new. So I landed in a church called and when I tell you the praise and worship choir on job, as in, I feel like I know that churches have like their flaws, but this church, as for the praise and worship team, because one thing about praise and worship is that you couldn't just choose to be in the praise and worship team, you had to be selected. And it's not selected based solely on whether you had a great voice, but it was the way you carried the congregation and the way you brought the presence of God down. So not just anybody could be in the praise and worship team, you know. So when I saw that, I said, wow, like it was so different from my home church back at home that if it was a joy choir, everybody, oh yeah, joy, you know, we're not excluding anybody.
So now you were seeing excellence brought in with also the spirit dimension to worship, right?
Yes. So I think it was the first week I joined the church. I went to the midweek service, so I went to the church first Sunday in February, and then went to the midweek service. And then upon going to the midweek service, at the very end, everybody was just playing around with the pastor, and he was playing on the piano, and he played the song "Tell Me What Can I Do? I Can't Live Without You" by Ty Tribbett. I joined in, and then I don't know, the natural leader in me, because I've led back at home, so the natural leader in me just started leading people. Before you know the pastor got someone else to carry on playing. And then he went outside to talk. I thought he was talking to newcomers, but me, I just wanted to be by the piano because me, anyway, music is, I'm there. And then before you know it, someone now taps me and they're like, the pastor's calling for you. I said, me, what did I do? I may knew somebody, please. But then they called me outside and they said that, when did you join the church? I said, I just came on, the first Sunday. And they said that we'd like you to join the praise and worship team. I said, I just thought,
Just like that.
Just like, when I say just like that, I say, God, what's happening? Me, that I was like, let me take my time, let me just enjoy, how brilliant they are. Then I was automatically put in from the beginning, and I was like, wow. So I was able to see the excellence firsthand and the work that it was put behind the scenes. And when I tell you behind the scenes, it's like, it's not just that you get the song and you just play however. No. The way the pastor taught everybody is that you soak the song as if you were the writer of the song. You need to soak the spirit behind the song, soak how each note is being played. I felt for the drummers because you need to drum the exact way it's been drummed in the song. So it was so that you carry that same essence, the same grace, the same power that was in that song, the same way that it blesses us. We wanted to be able to pour that out as well. When I saw that, I said, hey, wait, okay. So I got really excited. But then after some time, I was in the church for 5 years. But after some time, I realized that, I wasn't growing spiritually the way I needed. Because I mainly stayed because of the praise and worship, the different ministries within the church, like Dancing Stars, the different singing groups, the drama team, everything. But then when it came to the word, if it was the pastor preaching, I was locked in. I was inside. But then we had how Daddy G is the general overseer of RCCG. But then Bishop Dag Hewitt Mills is the general overseer over.
But when other ministers they didn't carry the same spirit.
Because they weren't there. It was we were watching him from a screen. So it went from having a physical, preaching to screen preaching. And I think for me, once that came into play, it was very hard to connect like everybody else. But I didn't just up and leave the church. I made sure I spoke to my mentor, shepherd. I spoke to my pastors to let them know this is the issue I'm having. So they would go through everything with me. They would help me to find messages that were related to where I was in that point in time, And sometimes I'd be like, oh yes, okay, this is working. But then other times I'd be like, okay, yeah, no, I just felt like there was a disconnect. I wasn't connecting the way everybody else was, and I thought, okay, maybe it's come to that point where it's time for me to move. And sometimes when God needs you to move, it's you'll be uncomfortable. It's some things are just not the way it was before. So I now moved. I moved back to Redeem, where this time I got a mixture of adults and youth and young kids, and I've been attending mutual since then. And it's been a wonderful time because now I got that physical preaching again, that face-to-face, the interaction with everybody, learning from all different levels of life, and I really, really enjoyed that. So it was First Love that brought that foundation of excellence and spiritual in terms of being in the music ministry, in terms of understanding as well that the fact that you were picked to be in praise and worship means that there had to be something that you carried. There's this essence of God that was I don't know how to explain it.
You saw it beyond singing now. You saw it as a ministry.
Exactly. I saw it. This is not just me carrying the microphone to sing.
You came into the awareness that you're a minister.
Yes.
Because there's a way you could sing in the choir and you could sing like you're on a talent on show, mm-hmm. or you're performing to. But now you carried the essence of a minister.
Yes,
okay?
Definitely. Yes. And so then when I knew that, okay, there's only so much that I could get from the choir alone, because the person in charge of the praise and worship team, she was phenomenal. The way she would dissect the word and teach, it was beautiful, But then they wanted to give people, a chance to lead the team, so people know what it's like to be in leadership. However, it was just that I just felt not everybody has that grace of leading, which is fine, it's just giving people that space to know, is it for you, is it not for you, that sort of thing. But I guess it got to a point where it's yeah, you know what, time to go. Spoke to the appropriate people, spoke to my leaders, and then eventually, and then they were even the ones that helped me find the church that I moved to next, you know. So they knew that I was in safe hands, that I wasn't just going to any random church where I'll be fed lies and whatnot, but a church that would grow spiritually and be fed the word and know that, you know, I would still be able to move well in my ministry, if that makes sense. So when I got now I felt like, okay, now I'm with a new level of spiritual leaders. I'm surrounded by, it was like a new fire. It felt like you couldn't get away with hiding behind anybody. Like anything you did, it just be exposed. So it was just like, okay, God, like this is the next phase.
Like you came home.
Yes. So then in this church, I met people who linked me with other people, and then I was able to, you know, release music. But in fact, even when it came to releasing music, a lot of people were like, oh, how come you haven't released songs? I could not release songs until God gave the go ahead, because on top of that, my lyrics were not from me, they were from God. So it's a case of I'm reading scripture, or I will be sleeping, wake up in the middle of the night, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, the next lyric. And I'll write it down, and I'll have to sing the melody as well. There's even one song that I wrote so like quickly, and then the producer was like, are you sure you want to release? I said, let me go back to God, let me do this properly. And even God was like, you this girl, we're not releasing this song. I said, but God, you know, like I'm excited, you know, I've got the, you know, resources, the facilities, like let me. I said, no, just calm down, just Ayomide, just calm. Like, where are you going?
Like where are you running to? Like,
so
take it easy.
Eventually, I said, let me take my time. I allowed God to, you know, dissect the song that I'd written and change it and make it the way it was supposed to be. And I remember one night I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I would sing, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like it's as if I had the whole song in my head. I had to wake up, and that I had lost my voice at one point. I said, by far my voice, even if I have to sing it in a lower key, but then I'll put it back in the key that I had it in my head, and I'll sing. I write on the lyrics, and I said, okay, this is well. And then I had to make sure that it was scripturally sound, but the grammar was also correct as well. So it was, I was just like, God, what's going on here? So with all that, going back to HOP is knowing that, like, HOP being under Pastor Mo and Pastor T, fantastic pastors, that it's hard to explain. It's like the way they would, like, they were an extra fire in terms of, like, I felt like impurities were being bent away. So it was like things that I didn't know of what it took to be a minister was what I was learning, and having to understand that your outside life has to match the life inside church. Not saying that, you know, you can't enjoy, but you cannot soak certain movies and then, like, you know, you use most of your time watching movies, go to the cinema, you play, but you won't read the word just as much, you know, because then it was like whatever I was taking in is what I was pouring out onto the people. And then it meant that if I wasn't seeking the face of God more and trying to be sensitive to his voice, it meant that, like, if I was singing and God would want me to sing a particular song, I wouldn't hear it, because it was like I didn't spend enough time with him to know that this is what he wanted to do or say in order to have a chain reaction to help somebody else in the congregation at that point. So being told me that like we're all connected in one way or the other, and it's in my obedience that can help somebody else get their breakthrough. But in my disobedience can also allow someone else to miss it. Because imagine now, somebody that is connected to God, that is in communion with him, God has said, when you go to church and you hear this or you see this, that this is a sign from me to you that XYZ will happen in your life. But that only works if I myself as well am doing my part by listening to his voice.
As a minister. Being spiritually sensitive.
Exactly.
So we see you taking your secret life personal, or you taking your secret life really the way it should be, because the secret determines the public, really.
Yes. And you know when they said
It's like the secret place thing.
Yes, definitely. Like what is bound in heaven will be bound on earth. What is loosed in heaven will be loosed on earth. So it's just like, if it meant that if I'm not in the secret place to be dealing with things in the spiritual realm, when it comes to the physical, it would just be well.
So you see this thing, because the truth is that in ministries that that you have to come before people and seemingly like perform, if you're not careful, it can be taken away with. But people don't know that you must still build your personal relationship. You must be somebody that fellowship a lot with the Holy Spirit. You should be someone that, because the truth is, I even tell people that it says God that sees in the secret will reward in the public. So the way to get rewards is the secret place. Is to spend time in the secret place. So I can see for ministers, I doff my hat to you guys, because the truth is you people are standing in a balance. I see what people do as important as even preachers, word ministers, and that's why music ministers will be people that are grounded in the word, because music ministry is the gospel with melodies. It must still be the gospel with melodies. So if you don't know the gospel, you don't know the word of God, how do you put reading to something you don't know? And at the end of the day, you are teaching us, you are singing, you are just entertaining. You're not even, there's no message, there's no depth to what you're saying. There's no depth. So as I said, I doff my hat. It's something totally, I give you people your honor as your honor is due. So I want us to start wrapping up. So I'm gonna ask you, what mistake have you made in your life that if you had the opportunity you would go back and rewrite?
Oh wow, that's a fantastic question. What mistake have I made? One major mistake I know is choosing your friends wisely. Who you surround yourself with has a huge impact on.
They stab you in the back.
Like, it's not even about stabbing in the back. I think it's even when they're good people and they have good intentions for you, but if they're not of God and they too are not like in line with His word, you can be led astray, because they will, instead of going off what God has said, it's like they will be going off their own opinions of what they believe that you should do.
So it's a case, it's the case of
can two work together unless they agree? Or what does darkness have
no.
with light?
What does darkness have with light?
Yeah. So like I said, growing up, it's weird because I'm a people person, but I also I enjoy myself in the present. Like I like to be around people, but I can also be by myself. But knowing that people are around, like if I know that people are around, I'm like, okay, cool. But if I'm alone, I'm like, what's that? So I think growing up, I would, and I had this a very, very bad habit of people pleasing unintentionally. And it wasn't people pleasing to try and gain validation. It was just so that I don't have wahala or I don't have issues. So when someone said, oh, can you do this, or can you help me with this, or can you, I'm like, yes. I didn't know how to say no. And it meant that I was now putting myself in places that I shouldn't. Or for instance, like I had one friend, God bless her, that she didn't want anyone to know where she was or whatever, but she was right next to me and we were driving somewhere. And someone now called and asked, oh, like, are you on your way back to Birmingham? I was like, oh yes, I'm on my way. And then the person now asked of my friend, oh, is she coming back with you? And instead of me to just say yes, like, she pinched me and was like whispering to me like, I don't want the person to know that I'm here. And instead of me to just be like, oh, they're here, but I think something's wrong with me, I was like, okay, yeah, no, they're not with me. And after, I was just like, but why? Like, why did I have to say? Like, why did it? It was just this thing of naturally falling into a thing of covering for your friend. Like, you know, people say, oh, small,
and
like,
your conscience pricked you.
It pricked me to the point I had to call back the person and I had to apologize. And I said, I'm sorry for, whether people say small white lie, black lie is lie. And I don't even know, just because of pinch, and they just said, I don't want to, but why? Even they themselves were like, they don't even understand why they didn't even want it. It just happened in the moment, you know. So, but that really taught me that, like, you need to, you know, you need to be conscious of your surroundings, what's happening, and, you know, of what's good, what's not.
And pick your friends wisely.
Yeah. And know that people may.
So you've not been wonderful in the choices of friends in the past.
Oh, I haven't been wonderful at all. But I guess, I give God all the glory, because He surrounded me with the people that I least expected to be friends with. So obviously, you know, before we started, you know, my darling sisters that we've all been, like, I thank God for their lives, because one of them I met when I moved into, you know, my house. I had to, during COVID, there was a lot and the expenses were getting higher, so I had to move somewhere cheaper. And I met her when she moved in, and she's been a big sister to me since that day. And we'll laugh, we'll cry together. But that was it wasn't even a friendship that I was like, okay, we're gonna be friends. It was just like, it just happened. And I thank God, because God, I feel like for me, God said, Ayomide, you don't make the right choices. This, I will help you. I will help you, and place her in my life. And then my other big sis, do you know what's so funny? I would see her like at her place of work randomly, and then I see her in church as well, but it was very scarce because of, like, you know, the work, uni and everything. So, but anytime I didn't see her, I was like, why am I not seeing her? So I guess in my hunting down of making sure she was alive well, over time she just became a big part of my life. And both of them have always provided me with not what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear in order for me to grow. And anytime, you know how sometimes you can be very quiet and your friends be like, you don't care about me again, but with them it's not even like that. They understand that the calling on your life it takes a lot of sacrifice, meaning that when we see you, we're happy, and if we don't, you know, as long as we know that you're alive, you're breathing, you know, we're happy. So I think one of the biggest mistakes, going back to your question, is not choosing the right friends or surrounding myself with the right people. And I think that is also what changed the trajectory of, I guess it took me out of the perfect will and put me in the permissive will. And then, you know, having to then now be like, okay, God, I'm here, I'm focused, I'm back. So please, can we go back to the perfect? Can we shift back, please? Yeah. And I thank God. And so, and I feel like if I had taken time or sought out wisdom or whatever at a younger age as well, to understand the sacrifices that mommy and daddy made, and why this, and not being so stubborn and wanting to know everything and believe that I'm right all the time, I think that my life would have been different. However, saying that, if it meant doing that didn't bring me to where I am today, then I don't want it. then I don't want it. Because who's to say that I'd actually end up here right now, you know? So I'm grateful.
So what is your biggest support system? Or who are your biggest support system? Right? My
biggest support system? Woo! My mommy and daddy, my siblings, my two spiritual sisters that I mentioned. In fact, I don't have to. I have how many? I have many spiritual sisters, but I can count them on my hands, really. You know, I can say their names, right? Can I shout them out?
Feel free.
Really. So I want to shout out my darling sisters, Buki, Sandra. I want to give a shout out to Faith. I want to give a.
You're sounding like a kid that went to a Christmas party in Nigeria. Who do you want to give a shout out?
I want to give a shout out
to.
Especially to Tifa and Joanna. Like, they've all had such a huge impact in my life, and I'm an emotional being, but.
So you people, you got the shout out.
You got shout
Subscribe
out
when you hear your name.
Yes, please.
Subscribe.
I see. Like, share, subscribe. But they've been such a blessing to me, honestly. I can talk for Africa. So let me just.
Okay, so I see that you in your journey you emphasize on the fact that when you go back to your church, your pastors, I've noticed that a lot of music artists or music ministers, when they blow up, like they become known, their songs is everywhere, most times they don't have a home church any longer. So they are moving about. Almost every Sunday they are in one church or the other. You can't tie them to a local assembly any longer. And if you are not careful, they are accountable to many pastors, not just the pastor. How important is it for music ministers to have a pastor and have like a local assembly that they worship?
I think it's very important, and this is even something that my father was explaining to us last year around Christmas time.
That's your dad, right?
Yeah, my dad, yeah. So Daddy was, because I think it was a case of, it's nice, to be asked to come and minister here and there, and go everywhere. But then if there's no way that somebody can, tie you to, or say that this is where your roots are and you're growing, then you can just become like, weeds. And before you know it, the issues of life, pride, everything can, sweep you up. And it's like you'll forget who you are. However, what my dad always likes to help us remember is that sometimes just take a break, just come back home. So what he ensured is that even when we come home, at first he was always forcing us to sing in the church choir. I said, God, Daddy, why? But then after some time, we understood that, like, when you're able to come back home, be grounded again, back into your roots, and why can't you bless where you started from just as much as you bless other people? So I think it's very important making sure that people can tie to a church and say, oh, what church do you go to? Oh, they go to this church, and that one day they come and they can find you there. That's why even this year, one thing I said to myself is that this is my year of incubation, my year of self-development, my year of growth, in the sense that there's going to be a lot of no's from ministrations, but it's only for God to really do what he needs to do with me, and really break me, remold me, redesign me, reconfigure me, so that when I go out again, it's like I'm should I say an even better version of who I was before. Someone that's even more knowledgeable about God, someone that has even more knowledge about the music ministry. So not only knowing the spiritual sides, but I'm going back to the basics again, learning what music is, training myself to become better than I was before.
Both excellence and spiritual.
Exactly. And it means that I
collabo.
Yes, a nice collaboration. Meaning that and also teaching myself that it's okay to say no. You don't have to be everywhere, so that I'm learning how to not wear myself thin, knowing how not to feel overwhelmed, burnt out, and also teaching people to also respect my time, respect my space. And because I think that's another thing with a lot of music ministers, you're so all over the place that you don't even have time for yourself to breathe, for yourself to, go back to the Father's arms and just say, God, I'm tired, and just sleep in his presence and just be there. Because the next thing you're thinking of is, I have to be here this day. Oh my gosh, I need to do this. I need to go here.
If you're not careful, you're running on empty.
Yes. Yes, and they say empty barrels make the loudest noise. So instead of tapping in from the spirit, you're tapping in from the flesh. You'll be making noise. And it's like people say thank you for your great voice, but was anybody healed? Was anybody restored? Did anybody come and give their life?
Their lives changed.
Or they just heard good music. So basically, you can literally just say I'm the same as all those secular artists that you just play and it's good. There's no difference, and I don't want that. I need there to be a difference. That when I minister, not out of a prideful way, that God, that the gift that you're giving to me, I'm not taking it for granted, that I'm using it well, and that takes isolation, allowing God to
soaking up on the glory. Yeah. The thing is, because I see the way when you were highlighting that you go home, one of the core reasons is spiritual guidance, because the truth is, pastors are our gifts. The Bible says he gave gifts to men. He gave pastors. They are our ministry gifts. They are gifts that God has sent us to edify us for the work of ministry. So for you to perform or to do the work of ministry, you need to be edified by the ministry gifts that he has given you. So when you don't have a father, you don't have a home, you are everywhere. Yes, the body of Christ is there to feed us. The body of Christ is for everybody to get benefits from. But there's a place of having a home, because you see in the book of Revelations, when Jesus was telling John to write to different churches, the messages were different per church.
Yeah.
So imagine you were in the church of this other church and you went to this other church and you heard the message that was sent to that church. That's not your message. Your message was in this church. Yeah. So that's the place of having a home where you are identified with. God can send you, can edify you. Yes, you have the Holy Spirit. I was listening to something just before we came on where he was saying the same Bible that says in the multitude of counsel, safety, also says those who are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of God. So you cannot pick one for one. What it means is that the Spirit of God will also use multiple. There are counsels in people that the Spirit of God has put in the mouth of people for you. So yes, you do your study. You are led by the Spirit of God. Yes, but there are things that you will not get into. There are things that you will not know except you hear them from the ministry gifts that God has put around you. So I think that's really where the place of having a home where you can go, a pastor that knows you, and knows that this is your home, and things like that. Then, as you said, blessing where you are being edified from, being a functional unit, because you're a music minister now. You don't work in a church. You will say, but if we're not careful, it should not be that it is the honorarium that is moving you. And not the Spirit of God. It should not be that it's the honorarium. Yes, there's the balance of the fact that when people bless you, you should be honored and all that. I don't want to go into that.
So that's a whole...
that one is another... Because the truth is, when it comes to honor, churches can be funny when it comes to honor, but to a certain extent, it just shows where they are at that point too. It just shows where they are at, and one has to just know how to walk around it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
One last question. This is the last one.
Last question.
The last question. The world is your stage right now. If there's something you want to tell the world, what would that be?
It would be to stop comparing yourself to other people. We're all running an individual race, and that's something I've had to learn for myself. And if I'm not at certain points, I always have to take time to reflect. That's one thing, because sometimes the reason you're not where you believe you should be is down to your own procrastination or disobedience, or not even reflecting.
I'm not yielding.
Yeah.
Not yielding.
So I would genuinely say, take time to reflect. Don't compare yourself to anybody. Just know that in Jeremiah 29:11 it says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, full of good and not of evil, to have a hope and a future." And if you look, it says plans, not plan. So he has many plans for you. So it just means that
Preach it, man.
So it means that while you're honing onto your skills, you're developing yourself, ask for advice. Ask people that have gone ahead of you. Instead of being jealous or feeling some way, ask them what they did to get to where they are now.
Be genuinely happy for people.
Be happy, because in that genuine happiness, for me, I feel like when I'm happy for my friends, when good things happen, I feel like God blesses me on the back of that, just because I'm just genuinely happy and excited for them, So yes, reflect, don't compare yourself to anybody, develop yourself and seek the face of God and not his hand. Amen.
So one thing that I'm taking away from what you said is everybody has a unique journey.
Yes.
And depend on God for your own unique journey. Don't compare yourself with people.
Yes.
That's so instructive. Thank you, Ayomide. Thank you for coming.
Thank you
for
having
joining.
me.
We know the struggle. We know the struggle it has been. So thank you. It's always a joy talking to you. I wish you all the best in your journey as a minister.
Amen.
We're looking out for you. I will drop your handle so that people can follow. Please follow her.
Please
Listen to her music. Get blessed by her. You will not remain the same. Yeah. And from we say like, share, subscribe. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let's get chatting down there, and we take it from there. God bless you. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.